In our classes before, we've spoken about not mentioning your research question clearly and early in the article, choosing the wrong journal. Tonight, we're talking about positioning your article within the body of academic literature that exists. We're going to review test 3. That will take up a fair amount of time, and we will talk about the contents of the chapter. It's November 23rd, and you've just finished your test number 3. This is the definition that I've brought up many times before. Have a look at it. You can pause the video, and this is what I'm hoping to see in your final drafts. This is an article that I published earlier this year, and I now feel if I can take a few days, is perhaps all it will take, is to take this and to convert it into a professional article by looking at only those parts that apply to the profession. We always get this slide, and we will always continue to see this slide as we go along. Here is a list of applied accounting research journals. I will post this in the readings folder. For now, you can have a look at it, and I just want to talk about 2, Strategic Finance and the Journal of Theoretical Accounting Research. Strategic Finance, you can see the title of the article. On the left, you can see PhD, PhD, DBA, and DBA. This is therefore a journal that would welcome and appreciate and publish what you have to say. You could even update this. As you can see, ChatGPT 3.5, at the moment we're at 5.1, and Gemini, recently released Gemini 3. Consider this journal. On the top left, you can see the title, the Journal of Theoretical Accounting Research. And what happens here is a publishing outlet for academics who either choose not to include testing, and that means you don't have data in their papers, or whose papers do not need testing to be complete. Therefore, maybe a data-less paper would fit in very well here. How would you know whether your topic would fit in? See what they've published before. This is an example of a prior issue. And let's have a look at the last title, The Master of Accountancy, so the master's program. And you can see there, Understanding Factors Influencing, and the title carries on. This would be an exact example of an article that doesn't have formal data as such. I considered publishing my work in this journal. I contacted Amanda, and I know Amanda, at least professionally, and asked her what it was like to publish in the journal, whether it was a pleasant experience, and she came back to me and said, definitely yes. So therefore, what you can do is contact an author that has recently had something accepted in the journal, ask them whether it was a pleasant experience, and you can take your cues from there. If we go one slide on here, we can see Professor Jack Dorminey, West Virginia University. Jack Dorminey also teaches on the DBA program. He has an office 2 doors down from me, and if it's good enough for Jack Dorminey, it should be good enough for you, and definitely also good enough for me. This article will be the subject of more discussion next week. But as you can see, Issues in Accounting Education, an academic journal. You can see that the research question is stated in the title, but we have the strange situation where we have David Wood with a W listed as the lead author, and then more than 300 other authors listed alphabetically. In fact, there are so many authors that the abstract couldn't even be finished on the first page. It, in fact, carries on page 2. We're going to look at this over here, and we're going to look at some of the references. The references include the Chronicle of Higher Education, the Washington Post, a newspaper, and Forbes. And our chapter is going to talk about what would constitute really good references and what would constitute not such good references. In this case, though, I must give the authors their fair due. ChatGPT was so new that there would not have been other academic studies on the topic. What would have happened was that we would have had articles in exactly this, the Chronicle of Higher Education, the Washington Post, and publications like Forbes. Next week, we will talk about it here, and you can see the title, New Journal Ethics Document. I received this a couple of days ago, and we go, Dear Editors, I'm an Associate Editor for the Journal of Emerging Technologies in Accounting. The AA Board of Directors, we recommend that you review the AI policy. And if I go into the policy, which I've posted in your readings folder, you can see authorship and contributorship, definition of authorship, all those designated as authors should meet the criteria for authorship. For example, this is what constitutes a substantial contribution. And if you simply contributed to the article, we talk about what should happen over here. In our class next week, we will go back and we will consider whether all these people listed as authors would in fact meet this definition over here. That's a forthcoming attraction. Let's have a look at our test. Wikipedia. A. Unoriginal text that should not be cited for a number of reasons. One of them being Wikipedia could change. Feel free, go on, sign on as a contributor, go and change something. It'll be different. It will accept the change. If nothing has been published on your topic, the red underlines are Microsoft Word and Grammarly. Your related literature would be sources related to the next closest thing. A common mistake. This is all in the chapter, this week's chapter, in fact. Scholarly literature would depend on derivative documents. Do not cite an article that only has one or two applicable sentences. I see this all the time. Check your citations for retractions. It's in the book, black and white. I saw it. A euphemism for plagiarism is borrowing. At this time, you might be saying that all the answers are A. Well, when I enter it into eCampus, all the answers are A, and then I give eCampus the command to jumble the alternatives. If you do end up with a test with all the answers being A, I then just forgot to click the jumble button. Not to cite a single test throughout your work, or to cite it many times over. Indeed, true. One of the most important pages in the book, I know the page number off by heart, it's 175. 3 broad entry points: filling a gap, extending the current literature or correcting what has been published. Number 3 being the most difficult to pull off. This is it. Page 175. Finding the previous research inadequate or non-existent and filling the gap. For the ChatGPT article, they would have found the previous research non-existent. This is the easiest. Finding it sound, supporting it, or extending it with a tweak. Hardest, finding it unsound and correcting it. A well-written letter is not recommended, and the point I want to make here is this is not a query letter. We spoke about a query letter last week, and that is where you write to the editor and say, I have an idea or I have a topic, are you interested? I showed you Dana Hermanson's CV where he has many letters to the editor. Number 10, Journal of Management Accounting Research is indeed a field journal. It publishes on a subset of accounting. Look where your cited articles were published. You have a topic, you see other articles on the same topic, see where they were published. What a great start for choosing a journal. This was the advice, and let's go and consider this advice absolutely terrible. Should you start at the top? You may be 80 before you get published. Terrible advice. I spoke about Stanley. It is possible Stanley is still running tests to try and get his original study from 1992 published in the Accounting Review. All these red underlines are again Microsoft Word and Grammarly. How many articles has the journal published to date? Well, you really can't go counting them. This is it. And I urge you, if you end up with an article and you think this will never get published, it's not that great, send it here. It will probably be accepted. At least it will be published somewhere. Or if you need something published in a hurry, their turnaround time is good. I'm not saying the quality is great. I'm saying the experience, and you will get it published, will be positive. However, we have to go to browse. And when we browse, we say there, view all articles. And the number given is 327,601, making the answer here F. Access this journal's website, evaluating the following statement. This answer, without a doubt, is true. If we go to the chapter, predatory journals, not scholarly, but designed to make money. They don't peer review, edit, or even read the articles submitted. Let's go have a look at the Review of Business and Finance Studies, and they also try to have a very great sounding name, including ones that are similar to other journals. I'm on the website. I can see here Review of Business and Finance. They have all these things. This is just a number. Acceptance rate is 25%. I'm almost guessing that the real acceptance rate is closer to 125%. All these statements are meant to make you think it's a great journal. The current issue it looks like that's when they stopped publishing. So that is not very current. I think they called it a day. About the journal, we have founders, and we can look at the founders' names, and I can only assume that this is a married couple who co-founded, you can listen again to the fantastic sounding name, the Institute for Business and Finance Research in 2005. The one party serves as editor-in-chief. The other party serves as manager, editor, and conference coordinator. It all sounds quite good. This is what happens when your article gets accepted. I am prepared to edit and format the paper as required by the reviewers and editor. If my paper is accepted for publication, I think their real rate is 125%. So if isn't really applicable, I will be subject to the following publication fees. 1 to 10 pages, $300. If I go over, $30 per page. But we don't want people getting a real bargain. So if the paper has more than 3 authors, you have to pay an extra $50 to get published. You need to agree. If you want your review done quickly, you can have an expedited review service. This will cost $100. The standard review times are apparently 90 to 120 days. I can guarantee you can send something to them. You should get it back within 9 days. There we go with an extra 100. The current issue, they talk about this journal ranking, giving them a rank of D. Journals are ranked A to D, with A being best. They didn't have to tell me A was best. They are exactly where they should be, at the bottom of the pile. Faye contacted me a while back and said, I want to do a project. I want to do something on Benford's Law, and can you help me? And I sent her some materials, and basically the materials were about the Charlene Corley fraud and a little bit of the digit analysis that I did there. She went to one of their conferences, which is also a very nice side gig of that journal, and I just show you the photo. Here is Faye presenting on Benford and Benford's Law, and she has a photo of me in the back there, which I thought was quite interesting. Another sign of a predatory journal. This was an email that I got. Premium Publishing Choice. Dear Dr. Negrini, Mark J. I hope the message finds you well. I serve as journal coordinator with 5 years of experience. We're inviting you high-quality submissions for A, and then looks like something was inserted here, and this looks like an insert as well here. Given your expertise, are you currently preparing any manuscripts that might be suitable for publication? If you want more information, you can share the title or abstract. I would gladly help. I look forward to your response. If you like, I will send you her email address, and you send her the title of your paper, and I can almost guarantee you that they will publish it. And this is exactly what predatory journals do. Academic journals and professional journals like the Journal of Accountancy don't send out mass email spam asking for articles. Question 15. Go to the website of the journal, find the page that lists the articles that have been accepted for publication but not yet published. How big is the pipeline. We go to the journal. We can either go down here, view online first, or we can go up there to online first. One to 10 are 52 results. There are 52, making the correct answer D for Delta, and I don't know whether eCampus would have jumbled this or whether it would just have left it there, but 52. That's an extraordinarily long pipeline. I urge you to really think about it if your institution requires that the article be published in order to count for promotion or tenure. 52 was the answer there. You're evaluating a new journal. One of the authors is Panos Patatoukas. I met him at a conference. I was extremely impressed. Choose the most correct option, prolific or novice. If we go to either his page on the university website, or if we go to Google Scholar, we should be able to make a definition. If you're not sure what novice means, I found it for you there. Not experienced in a job or situation. Beginning to learn a job or an activity and has little or no experience or skill. Panos on Google Scholar. Citations 2,991. Full professor, University of Berkeley. Endowed professor in accounting. Highly cited 3,000. The Accounting Review. The Journal of Accounting and Economics. The Accounting Review. I don't know that journal. The Accounting Review. The Journal of Financial and Quantitative Analysis. These might be easier to get into, the Business Law Review, but again at the bottom here, the Accounting Review. Without a doubt, he's a prolific scholar, and with an H index of 20, this means he has 20 publications that have each been cited 20 or more times. He certainly is prolific, and I enjoyed meeting him, and I was extremely impressed. A little review. Lack of an argument or a research question being sent to the wrong journal. Today, third reason, not citing the right bodies of literature. We have various sources. Those sources are there. We don't like derivative. And the types of entry points, page 175, one of the gems in the book. Here are the primary sources. And I just urge you to have a look at all those sources. And let's see what my notes say. This is on page 153. Lots of different sources. In other words, I do want you to realize it's not just CompuStat, and it's not just annual reports. We can get our data from many different sources. And indeed, I've seen some excellent academic articles where they use a new source. As we looked at this, and this could be Google search results, this could be tweets or X's, I don't know what they're called at the moment, and they came up with some findings, or they answered a research question by using a new and novel source. I don't know whether we're going to do pop songs, operas, musicals, but this is a very nice list of what is there. If we go here, and we can see the heading, contextual. This is basically just talking about background sources, giving some background information or placing your article in the broader context of some subject. Methodology. These are sources that relate to whatever method you decided to use to analyze or review your data. Theory. I'm going to show you a little bit about that on the next slide. And these are simply sources related, like a distant cousin to whatever you're talking about. I've posted this, theoretical. If you go to the readings, which apparently is visible to you, you will find this article here, Accounting Theories, and I ask you to look at the authors and tell me if you recognize one of the names. We've spoken very highly of Professor Dana Hermanson, and he is one of the authors. Accounting Theories, an introductory source for new scholars. I urge you, go and read it. Is it new? It could hardly be newer. If we go Journal of Accounting Education, you can see on the top there, the publication year is 2026. Very nice resource. I enjoyed reading the paper. A great start to the theories and the constructs that we use in our accounting work. This was what we mean by derivative or tertiary documents. There's the Chronicle of Higher Education. We saw it being cited in the David Wood study on ChatGPT. We see the New York Times, and you might remember that they cited the Washington Post. It's pretty much the same. Huffington Post, I'm not sure. Psychology Today, that could be equal to Forbes, which is what we saw earlier. Sometimes I might use an encyclopedia if I need a definition of a word. Textbooks, websites. And here is the kicker. Finding out about research through these resources is perfectly acceptable. But then you need to find the actual study, read it, and cite that source. Don't cite somebody that has cited a source. Go back to the original source and cite it. Common mistakes. And this entire chapter, I don't know if you can see, but I have highlights all over. One of them is don't fail to cite the journal. And I'm right here. Don't cite the derivative. Don't fail to cite the journal. I'm on page 161. Cite the journal that you want to publish in. They like that. But don't do what I did. And this is what I did over here. This was the title of my article. You can see at the top the implications. This was one of my drafts. I cited Bailey 2015, the Accounting Review. I wasn't citing the journal, but I was citing the editor. The editor at that time of the journal I was submitting to, the Journal of Forensic Accounting Research, was Charles Bailey. He comes back and says, delete this citation. Again, delete. I don't think the reference to my article really adds anything, and I don't want it to appear that I had you insert it. Therefore, cite the journal, and if you are going to cite the editor, him or herself, be careful. Don't make it look as if they'd asked you to do that. Make sure that you really need to cite them And Charlie, in that case, said, take it out. I'm going back to this because it is so important. Page 175. Oh, there are gems throughout the chapter. I'm on page 165 here, and they talk about put the citation at the end. I'm about 12 lines down. If your entire paragraph has to do with one citation, where do you put it? Do you put the citation at the beginning of the paragraph, so-and-so say, or do you put it at the end? And here we go. Put the citation at the end suggests that the ideas in only the last sentence are from another source, not the ideas of the entire paragraph. This might not make too much sense because I've just read one sentence. Try and find it. It's on page 165, and read and follow. Page 173, don't wait to write. Very important. What the author is saying is, don't go and read 50 articles on the topic and then say, oops, let me do my literature review now. You would have forgotten numbers 1 to 48. So page 175, the heading is don't wait to write. That whole paragraph. 175, those 3 entry points, I can't cite that. I can't emphasize that enough. Page 186, read while writing, read then write. So we have 2 ways we can do it. We can write our literature review as we read the articles, or we can write it afterwards, and the author has some good points on that. This is me, again, proposal to the Journal of Accountancy. Mark, it's good to hear from you. Hope you have been well. I read your cover letter and looked at the article. Please don't do this, because here the editor is saying at this point, the article is too big for me to even really process. And I've shown you this before, but there was another article where my proposal was too long to really process. I did it again. Try not to do it even once. Would it be possible to get a version that's closer to 2,000 words and focused more narrowly on the fraud aspects? Here we go. I do what I'm asked. You can see here December 22nd. You can see here February 3rd. So it didn't take half a minute. It took longer than that, a few weeks. And now I have something. The topic is fascinating. I've sent it to my boss for his thoughts. Jeff wasn't the full editor at that time. We need to trim some examples. We also have to navigate, have a great weekend. So now I know things are looking pretty good. This is what it turned out to be. But again, we're not citing the academic literature in the introduction to the article. What I do is I cite auditing statements. AUC Section 240, consideration of fraud in a financial statement audit requires. I go here. Then I talk about the AICPA's new general ledger and subledger audit data standards. So I don't drop the article in from nowhere. I place it in the context of auditing standards or pronouncements, and that is what you would need to do as well for a professional article. I'm quite happy to say that this article has been cited a number of times, including National Bureau of Economic Research Working Paper Series. And they cite me. Negrini, 2018. It is nice to see your work cited. I would enjoy seeing your work cited, and you will get it cited if you put it in the right journals, those that are read by real professionals. Module 7 is coming up. We will have a Zoom session, 6 p.m., November 30th. We're going to call it Sunday Spotlight Q&A with Mark. The link is in the discussion board forum. I hope to see you. If you can't attend, then I will post the recording. And what I will also do is I will hold office hours because your final draft is due December 14th. Thank you very much.